Security scare in Washington as a gunman targets a ballroom with the US president inside. Security service agents stormed the stage of the White House Correspondents Dinner before rushing Donald Trump to safety. The suspect seen here running is tonight in custody following the shooting. The president spoke shortly afterwards. He and his cabinet apparently the targets.
He's a sick person, a very sick person. And we don't want things like this to happen.
It does appear the suspect was targeting members of the administration.
Buckingham Palace has confirmed the King's US state visit this week will go ahead after questions were raised about security. We'll have the latest from Washington.
This is ITV News with Gamal Fambaleh.
Good evening. What started like any other White House Correspondents' Dinner turns to chaos last night as Donald Trump, his wife and his top team were forced to flee to safety as a gunman stormed the building. Investigators believe the US president and his cabinet were the likely targets of 31-year-old suspect Cole Tomas Allen. He is in custody tonight. And while he is reportedly not saying much, an apparent manifesto and other evidence discovered during searches is giving officers plenty to dig into. All this comes with the King due to arrive for his state visit tomorrow. Security arrangements have been reviewed, but the trip will go ahead. Here's our US correspondent, Dan Rivers.
The president was already at his seat when the sound of gunfire threw the evening into chaos. Within seconds, Secret Service officers were rushing him and the First Lady to safety. He appeared to stumble as he was bundled away in the confusion, flanked by heavily armed officers. CCTV at the entrance showed the assailant charging past a security checkpoint, where agents quickly drew their weapons and fired. One officer was shot at close range, but was saved by his bulletproof vest.
Where's it coming from?
Those sheltering nearby recorded the frantic moments officers confirmed the shooting.
Watch out! Move, move, move! It is now a crime scene. Secret Service is in custody. Has the person in custody?
Is the president okay?
Other members of the cabinet, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, were rapidly led away from the threat.
Stay down, Stephen.
Hundreds of guests were left sheltering in place as officers surged forward, putting the building in a lockdown. Secretary of State Marco Rubio can be seen here waiting to be evacuated. As more security officers arrived, tables were thrown aside. Here you can make out Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. being escorted out.
Oh my God, that's him.
The president was taken to the safety of the White House, where he spoke of the dramatic events a short time earlier.
But in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully. We have to resolve our differences. I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this, where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot.
It didn't take long for the president to come to the briefing room here in the White House to tell us precisely what happened. He appeared calm and collected, a truly remarkable end to a dramatic evening in Washington, D.C.
Go to your right. Go to your right.
Inside the venue, hundreds of guests were still in lockdown.
Stay back, stay back, stay back!
As officers secured the entrance of the hotel. The president was the first to post a photo of the assailant, reportedly of Cole Tomas Allen, a 31-year-old from California, who will appear in court on Monday. He was staying at the hotel where guests had remarked on lax security to get into the event. Today, a senior Trump official confirmed the gunman appeared to be intent on targeting members of the government.
It does appear the suspect was targeting members of the administration. I don't want to go beyond that because we don't have specifics yet about particular members of the administration.
But this weekend, America is once again contending with the scourge of political violence, casting its capital in the hue of emergency response. All this unfolding in the very same hotel where President Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981. Perhaps the defining image, though, will be this: the president and his cabinet assessing the footage of the man who sought to kill them. A moment of history captured after another brutal attempt to change its arc.
Well, this is just the latest security alert involving the president in recent years. The most serious was in Butler, Pennsylvania, when Donald Trump was shot at during a campaign rally in July 2024. He was hit and emerged with blood on his face while a man in the audience was killed. The gunman was shot dead by Secret Service. In September 2024, a man hiding in bushes with a rifle tried to kill Mr. Trump at his West Palm Beach golf course. Ryan Ruth fled the scene but was later arrested and jailed for life. And in February, a man armed with a shotgun and gas canister was shot dead trying to enter the president's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. Mr. Trump was not there at the time. We can speak to Dan, who's at the White House for us this evening. And Dan, more details have been emerging about the suspected gunman.
Yeah, so Cole Tomas Allen, whose photo was actually put out by the president, shown handcuffed lying on the floor. He's from Los Angeles. We know that the police there have been searching his home. He's going to face multiple charges in court tomorrow, including firearms offences and attempting to harm a federal officer. It's reported he is not cooperating with the authorities at the moment, although his family are, because they received what's being described by the administration as a sort of political manifesto that he had sent his brother and sister shortly before the attack. Now, there is confusion about whether the members of the family actually managed to access that manifesto and pass it on in time, but it appears that that warning didn't get through to the Secret Service agents on the ground here in Washington. He was found with a shotgun, with a handgun and multiple knives. And of course, there are lots of questions now about the level of security around that venue, particularly as guests weren't required to show any form of ID. They were simply admitted with a cardboard invite.
Dan, many thanks indeed. And our royal editor, Chris Shipp, is also in Washington ahead of the King's state visit. And Chris, we've had confirmation tonight that the visit will go ahead as planned.
Yes, good evening, Gamal. Yes, that confirmation came from Buckingham Palace a couple of hours ago, saying that they'd had discussions on both sides of the Atlantic throughout the day following what happened last night, and they decided that it was fine for the visit to go ahead. There'll be a couple of changes here and there, but to be honest with you, you won't notice what they are. They are sort of security arrangements behind the scenes. That means then the King and Queen will touch down here in Washington tomorrow afternoon, US time, and the big ceremonial events will all kick in. We saw some of that taking place earlier, some of the practicing taking place on the White House lawn earlier today. And remember, this is the first time that this administration, the second Donald Trump administration, has had a state visit. But, you know, put all that security to one side. The big challenge this week is not to do with the police or anything else. It's to do with the job that the King has got to try and patch up UK-US relations, which are basically in the doldrums ever since the Iran war and everything that Donald Trump has said. There's also, on the side of this, there's lots of people saying that the King and Queen should meet some of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. We're told that's just simply not possible because of the King's constitutional role in the UK. But I mean, so much for him to try and achieve this week. The security was perhaps the last thing that he should be worrying about.
Chris, thank you. Royal Mail has launched an investigation after a postman appeared to boast online about dumping Reform UK leaflets in the rubbish. Reform complained to Royal Mail after the claim was posted in a staff Facebook group. A spokesperson said Royal Mail is committed to delivering material for all candidates. That is all for tonight. Susanna and Ed will be back at 6 a.m. with Good Morning Britain. But from all the team here, many thanks indeed for watching. Bye-bye.